welcome to Shooting the Script, a video series that aims to compare written screenplays to their finished films to see how they measure up. Today, we'll be looking at 500 Days of Summer from 2009, which is written by Scott Neustadter and Michael H. Weber. Just a quick disclaimer before we start, I'll only be addressing the differences that directly impact the story or the characters. Otherwise, things would get very boring very fast. So there are a lot of trivial differences that will be left out of the video. So when you see a green box, that indicates something that is in both the film and the script, and I'm currently talking about it. Whereas the orange box relates to something that is in the script but not in the film, and I'm addressing that change. And now, with that out of the way, let's get started. The film and the script start in the same way, with intro cards saying that the film isn't based on anyone specific, but then goes on to mention a specific person. These cards not only establish the tone of the film that we're about to watch, but also sets up a very biased, one-sided or unreliable perspective of the story. These intro cards don't have page numbers in the script, so page 1 opens at the 50-second mark in the film, with an animated title card displaying the name of the film, followed by the number 488, which we can assume is the day number. This sets up the visual language of the film, that the story will be told in a very stylistic and hyper-real fashion. We then see Tom and Summer sitting on a bench, basically holding hands, with Summer wearing a wedding ring. This draws us in and gives us the impression that this is the end of their story, meaning that they end up together, and we're about to see the journey of how they got there, which starts by jumping all the way back to day 1. We're then properly introduced to Tom, and we're immediately presented with his flaw. That he's a hopeless romantic, and his ideas of love have been created and reinforced by pop culture.
The boy, Tom Hansen of Margate, New Jersey, grew up believing that he'd never truly be happy until the day he met the one. This belief stemmed from early exposure to sad British pop music and a total misreading of the movie The Graduate.
This is his status quo, that he leads a fairly boring life as he waits for the one to come along. This establishes him as a passive protagonist in his own story. He doesn't really do much, he just waits for things to happen to him. This also introduces the stakes of the film, that if Tom doesn't find love, he'll never be happy. This is then followed by Summer's intro, where we're also immediately presented with her flaw, that she's a bitter cynic who doesn't believe in love, which was most likely established by her parents' divorce.
The girl, Summer Finn of Shinnecock, Michigan, did not share this belief. Since the disintegration of her parents' marriage, she'd only loved two things. The first was her long dark hair. The second was how easily she could cut it off and feel nothing.
This starts to show us that we're watching a deconstructed version of the rom-com genre, as opposed to your more standard, stereotypical one, as usually it's the woman who's the romantic and the man is the cynic. The narration then states that Tom knew immediately that she was the one.
Tom meets Summer on January 8th. He knows almost immediately she's who he's been searching for.
Which reinforces the idea that he's a hopeless romantic who idealises the woman that he's interested in. Because how did he know that she was the one? Because she's good looking? This also starts to set up Tom's superficial standards for what he considers important when it comes to finding the one, which will continue to develop as the film goes on. The themes are then stated shortly after this, at the 2-minute and 5-second mark, which is on page 3 in the script.
This is a story of boy meets girl. But you should know up front, this is not a love story.
So it's not a love story between two people, it's a story about love. Is love real? What does love actually look like? And how does someone fall in love? The animated title sequence between the 2-minute and 10-second mark and 4-minute mark, which is on page 3 in the script, shows a split-screen montage of both Tom and Summer's upbringing. This stylistic flair furthers the visual language, while also prepping us for more split-screen scenes later on in the film. Also, if you notice in the script, it only mentions a few of these examples before saying that sort of thing, showing that not everything that takes place in a montage needs to be planned out in the script stage. The title sequence ends with another animated title card, this time 290 or 240 in the script. Just a quick side note here, a lot of these day numbers change between the film and the script. It's not really a big deal, I'll not mention it again after this, but if you just keep an eye on the script, you may see a bit of a discrepancy between the film and the script in regards to day numbers. This moment also establishes the non-linear storytelling device that the film will be utilising to tell the story, as we're now jumping into the story about halfway through. This is then followed by a little girl arriving at Tom's flat and being greeted by his friends. Mackenzie then states,
"It's Amanda Heller all over again."
which suggests that this is a recurring issue for Tom. That because he obsesses so much over the woman that he's interested in, and he puts so much of his happiness on their approval and validation, he ends up spiralling pretty hard after he gets dumped. If we take a quick second to look at his flat, it's decorated in a way that gives insight into Tom's character, as there are a lot of images of buildings on the walls. We'll come to learn later that Tom wants to be an architect, but he's not currently pursuing that as a career. This is very subtle character building, which is also highlighted in the script. This leads to Tom detailing the circumstances for the breakup. This plays out slightly differently in the film versus the script, and they actually have the alternate version available for us to see, so I'll just play them both back to back so you can get a feel for them. First, the script version.
We spent the whole day together.
It's playing at 5.
Do you want to see it?
And then what?
Then,
I think we should stop seeing each other.
Then the version that's actually in the film.
things were going so well.
Then what?
I think we should stop seeing each other.
The tone of the script version just does not fit the film at all. It's edited like an episode of some edgy cop show or something. The light-hearted vibe of the film version matches so much better. The breakup conversation shows us how differently they see things.
Just like that?
Just like that. Did you say why?
I mean, this thing, what are we doing? I mean, is this normal?
No, I don't know. I don't care. I'm happy. Aren't you happy?
You're happy?
You're not?
All we do is argue.
That is bullshit.
Showing even more how delusional Tom is, only looking at the things he wants to see instead of seeing the situation for how it really is, which feeds into his flaw. This also starts to reinforce the point of view set up at the start of the film, as we only see it from his perspective, so of course everything looked good, nothing was wrong, and the breakup came out of nowhere. This also intrigues us to keep watching, as the first time we saw them, Summer was wearing a wedding ring, so it begs the question, how did they get from here to there? This is also the first time she avoids an awkward conversation, at the 6-minute and 15-second mark, which is on pages 7 to 8 in the script.
Let's just eat and we'll talk about it later. That is good. I'm really glad we did this.
This is a reoccurring thing with Summer, which we'll see as the film develops. Another reoccurring aspect of Summer's behaviour is her calling Tom her friend, which she does for the first time at the 6-minute and 30-second mark, which is on page 8 in the script.
Tom, don't go. You're still my best friend.
There is an argument to be made that Summer leads Tom on by giving him mixed signals, and this does feed into that idea, but I'll also address that more as we go on. And at the 7-minute mark, which is page 9 in the script, the A-plot is introduced, with Tom stating,
I don't want to get over her. I want to get it back.
Tom's desire to get with Summer at all costs is the thing that drives the A-plot. That's his want throughout the film. But what he actually needs to do is learn not to idealise and romanticise people. It's alright to be excited about the prospect of being with someone, but you can't put them on a pedestal and base your happiness around them. He needs to learn that he doesn't need a relationship to define or complete him. But at the moment, his main focus is on getting her back, which we buy into because at the start of the film, we saw that they are apparently married. And then, at the 7-minute and 30-second mark, which is page 10 in the script, we start the inciting incident when Summer walks into the boardroom and Tom sees her for the first time. This moment is reflected in the script, where it says, and in walks this girl, Summer. We've met her by now, but Tom hasn't. This is the first time. His eyes go wide, and from that moment on, he can't take them off her. And you see him just blankly staring at her, completely in awe. You can almost see his mind working, like Morpheus. She is the one. The reason I say we start the inciting incident is because I honestly couldn't choose between this moment and the elevator scene as to which one was the inciting incident. I think there is a valid argument to be made for both, so I've decided to just use them both. So instead of it being one singular event, I think the inciting incident happens over a period of time, starting here and ending in the lift. So I'll finish talking about it when we get to that scene. The section between 8 minutes and 9 minutes 20, which is pages 11 to 13 in the script, where there is a brief recap of Summer's impact on the world, could be read in two different ways. This could just be a manifestation of the over-exaggerated version of her that he sees in his head, or this is actually her life and men tend to project their desires onto her and Tom is just following suit. This little section ends slightly differently in the film compared to the script. In the script it reads, narrator, it was a rare quality, this Esperate special, rare and yet something every post-adolescent male has encountered at least once in their lives. Exterior street, day, 16mm black and white. Summer continues to ride her bicycle down the street. Narrator, that's the third kind of person in the world. Alone, oblivious, and in her own world. Narrator, the kind that breaks hearts without trying. Whereas in the film, it plays like this.
It was a rare quality, this summer effect. Rare and yet something every post-adolescent male has encountered at least once in their lives. For Tom Hansen to find it now in a city of 400,000 offices, 91,000 commercial buildings, and 3.8 million people, well, that could only be explained by one thing: fate.
I think the film version does work better, as stating it was fate that they met plays into the themes and the idyllic version of events that we're seeing unfold from Tom's point of view. The conversation between Tom and Mackenzie at the 9 minute and 25 second mark, which is pages 13 to 14 in the script, potentially shows their misogynistic views of women.
Dude, I hear she's a bitch.
Really?
Yeah, Patel tried to talk to her in the copy room. She's totally not having it.
Maybe she was just in a hurry.
And maybe she's an uppity, better than everyone super skank.
Damn.
I know. She's pretty hot.
It sucks. Why is it pretty girls think they can treat people like crap and get away with it?
Centuries of reinforcement.
You know what? Screw her. I don't care. She wants to be that way, fine.
They both have a certain idea of what women are in their mind, and if they stray outside of those strict lines, then they're branded a certain way. This conversation also kickstarts the B-plot, which is Tom speaking to or confiding in his friends and family about Summer. This then brings us to the brief encounter in the elevator at the 10 minute and 10 second mark, which is on pages 14 to 15 in the script, where the inciting incident comes to a close, with them interacting for the first time. So he saw her for the first time in the boardroom, he then doubted whether or not he was interested in her, and then when she sings to him,
To die by your side is such a heavenly way to die. I love him.
he realises that he definitely is interested and that she is the one after all. The reason I think both this scene and the boardroom scene are valid moments for the inciting incident is because the inciting incident is the event that disrupts the protagonist's status quo. It's when the plot comes into contact with the main character. And in the boardroom, we saw her disrupting his life by entering it. But as we've already established, he never would have approached her. He never would have acted on his feelings. He would have just pined from a distance because he's too passive. So her physically coming into contact with Tom in this scene makes it real for him.
Holy shit.
This continues Tom's infatuation with her, and again it being based on something relatively superficial, which is them liking the same band. At the 11 minute and 55 second mark, which is page 17 in the script, they talk about Tom's aspirations to be an architect, something that he has either given up on or put on the back burner for now. Another example of him being a passive presence in his own life.
You always wanted to write greeting cards?
No, I don't even want to do it now.
Well, you should do something else then.
Yeah, I studied to be an architect, actually.
You did? That's cool. What happened there?
It didn't work out.
He puts so much emphasis on finding love that he lets it define him, putting his life on hold and his ambitions to the side in his quest for it. This is the first time that his architecture ambitions have been said out loud in the film. This moment inspires him to start drawing at the end of the scene. This becomes a bit of a pattern, Summer believing in Tom and either directly or indirectly inspiring him to be better. We then flash forward to another B-plot scene where Tom speaks about how much he loves Summer at the 13 minute and 35 second mark, which is pages 18 to 19 in the script. And you'll notice that all the things he mentions are very shallow and superficial.
I'm in love with Summer. I love her smile. I love her hair. I love her knees. I love this heart-shaped birthmark she has on her neck. I love the way she sometimes licks her lips before she talks. I love the sound of her laugh. I love the way she looks when she's sleeping.
Or he makes up about himself.
I love how I hear this song every time I think of her. I love how she makes me feel. Like anything's possible. Like, I don't know, like life is worth it.
This is a continuation of him idealising her. He doesn't love her, he loves the idea of her. He loves the very one-dimensional image he's created in his mind. This reinforces the themes by restating Tom's romanticised idea of what he thinks love is. This then leads to his sister calling him out for it in the next scene at the 14-minute and 35-second mark, which is page 20 in the script.
Just because some cute girl likes the same bizarro crap you do, that doesn't make her your soulmate, Tom.
What do you mean?
Even a child can grasp that. Just because you have superficial similarities, that doesn't make you a good match. In the film, this scene ends just after Rachel tells him that they're not soulmates, whereas it goes on slightly longer in the script, and they actually shot the extra bit, so I'll just play it here. But before I do, I need to mention that some of these deleted scenes are clearly not complete, so the colour grade and the sound design and things like that just aren't in place, so they do feel a bit stilted.
Dinner. Pause it and come eat.
Hey, Martin.
He met a girl.
Yeah?
Yeah.
The only reason I can think of for them adding this in is to establish that Tom and Rachel are half-siblings, as this isn't really clear in the film outside of this little scene, but I really don't think it matters. Half-siblings or full siblings, who cares? The script version feels too long. Pace-wise, I think it ends at the perfect moment in the film. The information that we need to know gets delivered, then the scene ends. The rest is just unnecessary exposition. There's another conversation that leans into the more misogynistic aspects of Tom's character during the conversation that starts at the 14-minute and 50-second mark, which is on page 21 in the script, where, after explaining a brief encounter he had with Summer in the elevator, he says,
Can you believe that shit?
I'm sorry, what shit? I think I missed something.
She said it was good, emphasis on the good. She basically said she spent the weekend having sex with some guy she met at the gym. Skank, whatever. I'm over it.
Now, even if this was true, there would be absolutely nothing wrong with it. It's Summer's life, she can do what she wants. But Tom has a problem with it because he sees Summer as his, and it doesn't fit the idyllic image that he's created in his head. Like I've mentioned, Tom is a very passive character, and we see it on display here firstly when he says he's given her plenty of chances, and those chances include an immature, flirty chat-up line.
I gave her plenty of chances.
I'm going to the supply room. Do you guys need anything?
I think you know what I need.
And him playing music that he thinks she'll like. Both times hoping that she'll take the reins and ask him out. Then secondly, at the end of the conversation, where his friend says he should just ask her out, and Tom replies,
Don't be stupid.
He's clearly very interested in her, but isn't willing to do anything about it. The entire section between the 13-minute and 35-second mark and the 16-minute and 50-second mark, which is pages 18 to 24 in the script, acts as a refusal of the call section of the film, or the section where our protagonist wrestles with the implications set off by the inciting incident. We see this in the way that he is so hot and cold. 1 minute it's love, the next minute it's not going to happen. This is an example of him fighting against his own expectations. You could say that the antagonist of the film is his distorted expectations. That's the thing he's fighting against the whole time. He's not fighting against Summer, he's fighting against the way he sees Summer. The antagonist of a film doesn't need to be embodied by a person. It can be a set of ideas, or an institution, or societal expectations, or just anything that the characters are pushing up against. It also doesn't need to be a malicious or evil presence, it's just the thing that's creating conflict within the story. Whereas the villain is a malicious or evil presence that usually does need to be embodied by a living thing. The antagonist and the villain do sometimes overlap, but not all the time. So here, there isn't actually a villain in the film, and the antagonist is embodied by Tom's idealistic and unrealistic views of love. Shortly after this, we have one of the most important scenes in the entire film, the karaoke scene. This scene strongly reinforces the themes. with both Summer and Tom reaffirming their opinions on love at the 20-minute and 10-second mark, which is on page 27 in the script.
What happens if you fall in love? What?
Well, you don't believe that, do you?
It's love, it's not Santa Claus.
Well, what does that word even mean? I've been in relationships and I don't think I've ever seen it. There's no such thing as love, it's fantasy.
Well, I think you're wrong.
Each stating their worldviews, which are rooted in their flaws. And from this, we can see that they are very obviously incompatible. But Tom takes her saying that love doesn't exist as a challenge, thinking that he'll be the one to change her. Just a quick side note, there is a very small difference between the film and the script on page 29. After Tom says that he thinks she's wrong about love not existing, and Summer replies with, "Really? And what exactly is it I'm missing?" It reads, an animation sequence, real quick, an explosion of many different colours, complete with a choir and a church organ, all building to a huge crescendo, to which Tom replies, "You'll know it when you feel it." Whereas in the film, it just plays out like this.
Okay, well, what is it that I'm missing then?
I think you know when you feel it.
As they're putting Mackenzie into the taxi at the end of the scene, he says,
He likes you.
Okay, good night, Mackenzie.
Likes you. Why did you just tell her, Tom?
Sorry.
but Tom still won't act on how he feels, leading to Summer then establishing that she wants to be his friend.
Do you like me?
Yeah. Yeah, of course I like you.
As friends?
Right, as friends.
Just as friends?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know, I hadn't really thought about, yes. Why?
No reason, I think you're interesting, and I'd like for us to be friends.
Chronologically speaking, this is the first time that she says this to Tom, so it's quite innocuous. It has no weight or expectations attached to it. It also kind of looks like she wants him to say something, and she's a bit disappointed when he doesn't. I'll come back to this a bit more at the end of the video, but it's just another example of him being too passive and not taking control of the situation. This scene acts as our first plot point. The first plot point is the thing that pushes us towards the second act. A lot of the time it's just one event that happens in one scene, but here it happens over a sequence of events, starting with the conversation about love and ending with the charged moment outside the taxi. And then, right after this, at the 25-minute mark, which is page 33 in the script, we go into Act 2, when Summer, taking the initiative, because Tom won't, kisses him in the copy room. Is this something that just a friend does? The first scene in the second act is when his friend comes round to talk about his breakthrough at the 25-minute and 45-second mark, which is on page 33 in the script. This conversation is slightly different in the film versus the script, with some dialogue being removed throughout the scene. They did film the entire scripted thing, so I'll just let it play in full, but keep an eye on the script and I'll highlight the bits that have been removed from the finished film in orange.
Hi,
Hey,
I'm Summer.
Summer. That's an unusual name. You know, that's one of those names you don't really hear all that often. It's like, Tom, why didn't you tell me that you knew such a you know what? You probably did. And then, I forgot. It's, it's tough to, with this guy, keeping track of all the girls that are in his life. Okay, well, I'm Paul.
Hi, Paul. Nice to meet you.
I'm a doctor.
I can see that. I like your scrubs.
Well, I gotta go. I gotta do some doctor stuff, you know.
Yeah, man.
Just pretend I was never here. Oh, wait, Tom. If any jobs come up, give me a call.
Thanks, Paul. See ya.
I think they removed these bits just to speed the scene up. It kind of drags the way it's written. The first half of the second act is what they call the fun and games part of the film, which is basically when the film delivers on the genre expectations of whatever film you're watching. So if it's a horror film, this will be when we see a lot of the initial scares, or an action film will have a lot of the early action scenes, and in a standard rom-com, it'll be when the couple starts falling in love. Here, with 500 Days of Summer being more of a deconstruction of the rom-com genre, we see them continually being hot and cold with the jumping back and forth in time, which is entertaining to watch, but it also makes us think, how did they eventually get to the image that we saw at the start of the film with them on the bench, looking like they're married? This then leads to the conversation on the bed in IKEA at the 29-minute and 40-second mark, which is on page 38 in the script, where Summer tells Tom that she's not looking for anything serious, clearly stating her intentions.
Hey, I just want to tell you that, I'm not really looking for anything serious. Is that okay?
Tom then agrees.
Yeah.
And we can read the visible disappointment in his reaction.
Because some people kind of freak out when they hear that.
No, not me.
You sure?
Yeah, like, casual. I take it slow.
So this is clearly a lie, as we've already established how much of a hopeless romantic he is. He doesn't want something casual, he wants to find the one, so he should have just removed himself from the situation at that moment when he realised that they want different things. But he's still under the impression that he'll be the one to change her mind. He still thinks that he can make her fall for him. But he needs to learn that it's not on someone else to meet your expectations. He needs to find someone who has the same desire for intimacy that he does, instead of forcing someone who isn't compatible into the mould that he's created in his mind and hoping that they'll eventually fit. And then after this conversation, where they've just spoken about not wanting to be serious and just wanting something casual, as they walk away, Summer takes his hand, which could be seen as a mixed signal. The mixed signals continue into the next scene, with them being intimate for the first time, which then leads to the iconic dance sequence at the 31-minute and 35-second mark, which is on pages 39 to 40 in the script. To Tom, this means he's gotten past the barrier, beyond the defences, and now they're definitely more than friends. Whereas to Summer, it was probably just a fun, casual hookup. There's then a jump forward in time at the 33-minute and 40-second mark, which is on pages 40 to 41 in the script, which not only shows that Summer isn't working there anymore, but also shows that they are no longer seeing each other, with Mackenzie saying,
"So did you get her back yet, or what?"
An email then comes through from Summer saying that she hopes they can be friends.
So great to hear from you. I can't this week, but maybe next. I hope this means you're ready to be friends.
We've already heard her saying that before, so we're not entirely sure what she means by that. Is she now just looking for a 100% friendship? Or does she want to continue the sort of casual friendship / relationship that they've been doing? We're not too sure what this implies, but it's clearly the last thing that Tom wanted to hear. There's then a short sequence in the script before they go to the record store, which happens on pages 42 to 43, where they go to an art gallery, then they go to the cinema. But this doesn't happen until later on in the film, so I'll skip it for now and bring it back when it does. I'll address this more as we go on, but there's an argument to be made that Summer doesn't really know who she is, and she just accumulates quirky character traits to make herself appear more interesting, which could answer for how flaky she seems and how she appears to not realise how many mixed signals she's sending out. And her liking someone like Ringo Starr is just a little aspect of that.
Octopus's Garden.
Yes, Octopus's Garden's the best Beatles song ever recorded.
Why don't you just say Piggies?
Come on, I love Ringo Starr.
Nobody loves Ringo Starr.
That's what I love about him.
There's then a fun little scene where they try out stuff in the shower that they saw in the film that they bought at the 35-minute and 10-second mark, which is on pages 43 to 44 in the script. Now, you could read the implications of this from two different perspectives. First, Summer is just having a bit of a laugh. It's not that serious. Or the second reading is, Tom sees this as them getting even closer, because this is not the type of thing that friends do. Tom then takes Summer on a walk around the city, where he points out all the beautiful architecture of the buildings around them at the 35-minute and 35-second mark, which is on page 44 in the script, reinforcing the idea that Summer brings out the more passionate and ambitious side of him, as it's one of the rare times where he actually looks alive when he's talking about something. This continues when they're sitting at Tom's favourite spot and Summer gets him talking about the architecture around them. She then forces him to draw what he would do with the city on her arm. This feels like the real Tom, when he's talking about something genuine that he believes in. It's really nice, and it's clearly a lot more attractive to Summer. There's an interesting production note here saying to put Autumn, the character he meets at the end of the film, in the background somewhere. But this doesn't appear in the film, which is a shame, as I feel like it would have been a nice little Easter egg. Tom then thinks he's having a huge breakthrough in the relationship when they go back to Summer's house at the 38-minute and 15-second mark, which is on page 46 to 47 in the script. as he sees this as him getting in even further behind the defences, something that not a lot of people have done, which reinforces his perception that she's falling for him.
For Tom Hansen, this was the night where everything changed. That wall Summers so often hid behind, a wall of distance, of space, of casual. That wall was slowly coming down. For here was Tom, in her world, a place few had been invited to see with their own eyes. And here was Summer, wanting him there. Him, no one else.
We can see from the way her place is decorated that we can't really get a good read on her, where Tom's place very much reflects his personality, with the architecture posters and drawings. Summer's flat is a hodgepodge of different items, reinforcing the idea that she doesn't really have a personality of her own. She just accumulates quirky things and pretends it's a personality, like at the record shop. This sentiment is reflected in the script, where it says, "From the disparity of stuff, we should get a sense that unlike Tom, whose room reflects his interests in architecture, Summer is all over the place." So this next sequence could be read a couple different ways. As the film is from Tom's point of view, we should maybe take what's happening with a pinch of salt. Them playing on the bed, him putting the hair behind her ear, rubbing their faces together. These things may have actually played out differently in real life, but that's how Tom felt in the moment, so we're seeing it how he felt as opposed to how it actually happened. But if it did actually play out this way, then these things are insanely intimate and definitely aren't things that friends do. I don't even think friends with benefits would act this way, so I think this could be seen as a huge mixed signal. This then leads to an extremely revealing sentiment from Tom via the narrator at the 40-minute and 5-second mark, which is on page 49 in the script. When Summer is telling him a story about her dreams, Tom tunes her out and makes this moment all about him and how close he's getting to his goal.
As he listened, Tom began to realize that these weren't stories routinely told. These were stories one had to earn. He could feel the wall coming down. He wondered if anyone else had made it this far, which is why the next 6 words changed everything.
I've never told anybody that before.
This is solidified when Summer says that she hasn't told anyone that before, and Tom replies,
I guess I'm not just anybody.
We don't actually see Summer responding to him when he says this, but if it is just left like that, then we can see why Tom possibly read the situation wrong, because she should have pushed back on that statement. We then have another little B-plot scene at the 40-minute and 35-second mark, which is on pages 49 to 50 in the script, where Tom tries to act all nonchalant about their status.
So what are you exactly?
I don't know.
Are you her boyfriend?
It's not that simple.
Sure it is.
What, like, are we going steady? Come on, guys, you know, we're adults. We know how we feel. We don't need to put labels on it. I mean, boyfriend, girlfriend, all that stuff it's really juvenile.
Saying we know how we feel is quite telling, as he assumes they feel the same way about each other, as in they're falling in love. So they don't need to speak about it because it's just this unspoken thing. But we know that's not how Tom operates. He's clearly just in denial and trying to act like it doesn't bother him that they aren't making things official. This is made clear in the next scene with his sister, where all the coolness and bravado have gone and he's just spiraling.
So what should I do?
You should ask her. What?
Well, why rock the boat is what I'm thinking. I mean, things are going well. You start putting labels on it, that's like the kiss of death. It's like saying, I love you.
And Rachel hits him with some hard truths that he needs to hear, but he won't take on board because it doesn't fit his worldview.
What you saying?
I'm saying you do want to ask her. It's obvious. You're just afraid of getting an answer you don't want, which will shatter all the illusions of how great these past few months have been.
We saw at the end of the previous scene that there's been a 9-day jump from him being all cool and nonchalant with his friends to now spiraling with his sister. So if he started to unravel this much after just 9 days, imagine what it'll be like if this continues. Tom then tries to address things in the car with Summer at the 42-minute and 35-second mark, which is on pages 52 to 53 in the script. But Summer, again, just avoids getting into it as usual, and Tom doesn't push it, because he really doesn't want to rock the boat. He wants to keep pretending that everything is fine. This is a bit more prevalent in the script than it is in the film, as in the script, it looks like Tom does try to push the conversation a bit further, but Summer cuts him off. It reads, Summer, I don't know, who cares? I'm happy. Aren't you happy? Tom, yeah. Summer, good. Tom, it's just... Summer, ooh. Summer has noticed the song on the radio. Summer, oh my god, we totally can't talk during this song. Whereas in the film, we don't have the moment where Tom says it's just. He just leaves it. It plays like this.
Like, what's going on here with us?
I don't know. Who cares? I'm happy. Aren't you happy?
Yeah.
Good.
We then have probably one of the biggest changes between the film and the script. In the script, after the car scene, there is a short scene at a party on pages 53 to 54. This scene doesn't actually take place in the film, but the dialogue is borrowed for another scene later on, so we'll skip reading it for now, and I'll bring it back when it happens in the film. Then in the script, we have the section where Tom details all the way he hates Summer on pages 54 to 55, which mirrors the scene from earlier when he talks about all the things that he loves about her. But that doesn't happen yet in the film, so again, we'll skip it for now and I'll come back to it when it does happen in the film. And now, at the bottom of page 55, we line back up with the film at the 43-minute and 50-second mark, having just come from the car scene. We're now in the bar, where Tom's misogynistic ideals of women are on display again when he complains about how women dress these days.
London, 1964. Those girls knew how to dress. Nowadays, it's all these giant sunglasses, tattoos, handbags with little dogs in them. Who okayed this?
Summer then jokes about getting a tattoo, and Tom, not realising it's a joke, snaps back at her.
I was thinking about getting a butterfly tattoo about yay big on my ankle.
No. Oh.
That potentially shows a bit of a controlling streak in Tom, which I guess goes in line with having a very rigid worldview of how things and people should operate, especially the person he considers his soulmate, because in his mind, his soulmate would never get a tattoo. Some guy then tries to hit on Summer, but she politely declines. He doesn't take no for an answer and pushes harder, which she continues to push back on. All the while, Tom is doing nothing about this, again being a passive presence. That is until he calls Tom her boyfriend, which rubs him up the wrong way. And, like the script says, all the pent-up uncertainty and confusion, coupled with the challenge to his manhood in front of the woman that he loves, manifests in one single, solid, almost automatic, right across the good-looking douchebag's face.
Can't believe this is your boyfriend.
This has nothing to do with Summer. This is the act of an insecure man throwing his toys out the pram over a bruised ego. This then leads to the argument in Summer's flat. Tom coming in all pumped up, thinking that was the right thing to do.
It's really just a crazy thing. It happened it felt like it happened fast, but really, it also felt like it was happening really slowly, like everything all was just, I don't know, it doesn't feel like you think it would.
And she calls him out on his behaviour.
Hey, what's the matter?
I can't believe you.
You can't believe me?
You were so completely uncool in there.
Wait, are you mad at me?
She then immediately goes back to avoiding the situation like she normally does.
Oh, really? Was that for me? Was that for my benefit?
Yes, it was.
Okay, well, next time, don't, because I don't need your help. You know what? I'm really tired. Can we talk about this tomorrow?
Instead of addressing it further and talking it through, she just waves it aside. I think this can be a valid response, if you're both not in the right mind, to put off a conversation until you're both feeling up to it. But because this is a pattern with Summer, we can assume that she's just trying to avoid it again. And then at the 46-minute and 20-second mark, which is on page 59 in the script, Tom, plucking up the courage, finally demands an answer from Summer.
No, you know what? I'm not going anywhere till you tell me what's going on.
Which Summer replies with,
Nothing's going on. We're just...
What? But just what?
We're just...
No, don't pull that with me. Don't even try to... This is not how you treat your friend.
to which Tom calls her out for leading him
Kissing in
on.
the copy room, holding hands in IKEA, shower sex. Come on, friends my balls.
I like you, Tom. I just don't want to relationship.
Well, you're not the only one that gets a say in this. I do too. And I say we're a couple. God damn it.
But he also crosses a line by being controlling again. He can't just decide that they're in a relationship. In saying that, say what you will about Tom in this scene, or in the film in general for that matter, but this is a valid thing to call her out on. Even though he's acted like an arsehole, she has given him a lot of mixed signals, and this should be her sign to back off at this point, because he's clearly in too deep. I'll come back to this point at the end of the film because there is a possibility that she is leaving the door open for something more serious to develop, and that's why her actions are so contradictory. Tom then storms out and heads back to his flat, but in the script there's an odd little addition before he goes home, and they actually shot it, so here it is.
No, you know what?
It's me.
There's more I'd like to say.
Yes?
I can't remember now.
I'm going to sleep.
Fine.
Fine.
This was very different in my head.
I bet you get that a lot.
I honestly don't know what this adds to the scene at all, other than comic relief. It also kind of undercuts the moment before, because the argument is one of the more serious parts of the film. So having a moment like this, it kind of pulls the wind out of the sails a bit. So I think it was right for them to get rid of it. Whereas in the film, it just goes from the argument to the split screen of them in bed looking at their phones. After this, Summer turns up at Tom's flat to reconcile at the 48-minute mark, which is on pages 61 to 62 in the script. This is probably the most egregious thing that Summer does in the entire film. Like I mentioned, if she only wanted something casual and she only regarded Tom as a friend, then after Tom's outburst, she should have distanced herself from the situation, because it's very clear that Tom sees things differently and wants more. But her coming back is a huge mixed message, especially the way it's done, with the kissing and the caressing. But Tom isn't any better. He also should have shut this down when it became obvious that she doesn't see him the way that he sees her, but he goes right back to lying to her, us, and himself.
Look, we don't have to put a label on it. That's fine, I get it. But, I need some consistency.
This moment acts as our midpoint of the film. The midpoint is the part of the story where there is usually quite a big shift. It's where the protagonist gets what they want, but it's not what they expect. So if things are going well, something bad will happen, or vice versa. If things are going badly, there'll be some kind of false victory, a fake breakthrough. And here is when Summer comes back, which feels like a win for Tom, that he means so much to her that she's willing to come running back and save the relationship. But that's not necessarily the case. He then goes on to assume that she's never had a boyfriend before at the 49-minute and 50-second mark, which is on page 62 in the script.
Well, what about you? Did you ever even have a boyfriend?
Of course.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Tell me about it.
Because that fits his worldview, that she's never let anyone in, and that he's the first one that's gotten through the defences. We then have the scene where they're shouting "penis" in the park, which is then followed by the art gallery and movie-going sequences from pages 42 to 43 in the script, but happen in the film here at the 52-minute and 25-second mark. I think these are just general bonding moments, making it easy to move around in the runtime without much consequence. But I do think the scenes play better here as opposed to earlier on, as it cuts from them at the pictures together to him alone. The juxtaposition is quite funny, whereas in the script, it goes from the penis shouting scene straight to him at the pictures alone. The films that he's watching by himself are arty, black and white, subtitled ones, projecting him and Summer into them, dramatising what's happened between them, showing that he can only understand and contextualise the situation through the filter of art and pop culture. as that's what formed his worldview in the first place. There's then a short delete sequence after the cinema scene, which is a mirror to the dance sequence from earlier at the bottom of page 69 into page 70, and they actually shot it, so I'll play it here. It doesn't play nearly as well as the dance sequence from earlier, which is a shame. I think they could have kept the animated birds and put them somewhere else in the film where he's depressed, just as a little callback. But I think in general, the idea was good in theory, it just didn't really work in practice. The next couple scenes that happen back to back are a perfect illustration of someone with an anxious attachment style. Now, I don't want to get too much into attachment theory here, but I think it's pretty evident that Summer is an avoidant, which I've spoken about, and Tom is anxious. We see that here in the scene where his boss moves him to funerals and sympathy, because he's not exactly performing well in his current department.
Funerals and sympathy.
And that is compared to the next section, which involves Tom going around helping everyone with their problems. The reason this shows an anxiously attached person is because an anxiously attached person's mood is greatly affected by the person they're attached to. When things are good, they're on top of the world. They feel like they can do anything. And when things are bad, their entire world stops. After this, there's a little deleted section at the bottom of page 73 that doesn't appear in the film, but they did film it, so here it is. I imagine they were going to add music to that, so it maybe feels flatter than it should. But again, I like this idea in theory, but in practice it feels a bit odd and jarring, so it's probably for the best that they got rid of it. Then, in the film at the 57-minute and 40-second mark, we have the section where Tom details how much he hates Summer, which appeared earlier in the script on pages 54 to 55.
I hate Summer. I hate her crooked teeth. I hate her 1960s haircut. I hate her knobby knees.
This again showing how much Summer's behaviour affects his mood. That she doesn't align with his idealistic view that he had in his mind, which is her fault somehow, so now she's a terrible person. Just a reminder that we're seeing all of this through Tom's point of view, that she seems cold and distant because we're seeing her through the lens of a broken heart. The film and the script then line back up on page 74, which is at the 58-minute and 10-second mark in the film, with the scene where Tom is on a date with an attractive redhead. This scene starts slightly differently in the script compared to the film, and they actually shot it, so here it is.
Excuse me. Hi. Are you Tom?
Allison.
Yes. Oh, good. I was afraid you might be that guy.
Nope. Hope you're not too disappointed.
No, this is much better.
Yeah. Totally. Well, shall we go? Okay.
I normally don't do blind dates, but Paul and Robin spoke very highly of you. They said you write greeting cards. That's so interesting. I wanted to write. I actually majored in English in college, but what are you going to do with that degree? I went to Brown. Where did you go?
Allison. Listen, it's great to meet you, and you're a very attractive girl. I just wanted to say up front that it's not gonna go anywhere.
Oh.
And it's not you, it's me. It's just you seem like a really sweet person. I don't want you to get hurt.
We just Matt.
No, of course, yeah, I know. I'm just imagining you probably looking for someone serious, you know, looking for something with potential. I can go out to eat a few times, we go to the movies, maybe fool around a little bit, but next thing you know, we're getting a dog, we're moving in, you know, and that's just, it's not me right now. So, look, if you want to go in and get some chicken fingers, like, awesome. Great, but that other stuff, just, I just wanted to be honest. Like, it's just, I'm not ready.
He then continues to idealise Summer, pinning all his happiness on her, catastrophizing, all or nothing thinking, it's her or no one.
I'm messed up. I am. On the one hand, I want to forget her. On the other hand, I know that she's the only person in the entire universe that will make me happy. But you know what? I'm gonna get her back. You'll see.
Will I?
Oh,
Okay.
absolutely.
This both reinforces the themes and the stakes, as he believes he'll never be happy if he doesn't find the one, and in his mind, he's still convinced this Summer is the one. Shortly after this, there's a bit of a difference between the film and the script, where Tom mentions about going back over things in his mind, and in the film, it just shows clips that we've already seen from the film underneath his voiceover.
You ever do this? You think back on all the times you had with someone, and you should replay it in your head over and over again, and you look for those first signs of trouble. There's two options, really. Either...
Whereas in the script, it plays out differently. We see a series of scenes, but this time from Summer's point of view for the first time in the film, which they actually shot, so I'll just let it play here.
You ever do this? You think back on all the times you had with someone, and you should replay it in your head over and over again, and...
Please don't talk to me. Please don't talk to me.
How's your weekend? There's two options, really. Either...
I think they probably changed this for the very reason that it's from Summer's point of view, and that kind of breaks the storytelling format that the film has been told through up until this point. Even though these are more exaggerated, fake stories told by Tom, it could have been a bit jarring to see them. This scene ends slightly differently in the film versus the script, with her getting up and leaving in the film versus her staying and being embarrassed in the script. I think the way it happens in the film works better, as her getting up and leaving while he crashes out on stage makes it a bit more tragic and pathetic for Tom. This then takes us to the scene on the train where Tom bumps into Summer on the way to Millie's wedding at the 61-minute and 40-second mark, which is on pages 88 to 81 in the script, and they end up having coffee and chatting like old times, potentially creating a false sense of security for Tom, because in his mind, they're starting to rekindle the romance. The way it's shot even reflects this, with the golden sunshine and gentle music and lack of audible dialogue, making us project what we think they're talking about onto the conversation. For all we know, they're talking about the most banal stuff that you could ever speak about, but it doesn't matter because it all feels very romantic, because again, we're seeing this from Tom's point of view, so we could just be seeing how Tom feels in this moment as opposed to what's actually happening. This continues over into the next scene at the actual wedding, which you could view a couple different ways. That Tom is doing what Tom does. He's reading into Summer's friendly behaviour as something more. Or Summer's giving more mixed signals, because if you've seen the film, then you know that she's seeing someone else at this point, and she never thought to bring it up to Tom for the entire day, but continue to do things with Tom that could be read a certain way. That notion is reinforced when they're on the train by this description in the script, saying they're going to make it. We then have a quick break in the narrative to have a documentary-style interview section with the characters, which takes place at the 66-minute and 25-second mark and page 86 in the script. The big difference here between the film and the script is all the female characters' answers have been removed, and it's only the males that we see. They did film them all, so I'll slot them in where they take place in the script.
I guess I just got lucky. We met in elementary school. In 7th grade, we had the same class schedule, and we just clicked, you know?
Love? Shit, I don't know. As long as she's cute and she's willing, right? I'm flexible on the cute, so.
That's a pretty complex question. Philosophers, poets, scientists, everybody has a theory, don't they? But, I kind of like what Nietzsche said. There's always some madness in love, but there's also always some reason in madness. I was pretty smart. But then again, Nietzsche also went crazy from syphilis. So there's that.
21 years. She's the light that guides me home. Yes, that is from one of our cards. No, someone else wrote it. Doesn't make it less true.
I was very much in love with my first husband, and that was the unhappiest decade of my life.
I think that my feelings on the topic have been covered. Can we talk about something else?
49 years is a long time to wait for the right person. I was starting to wonder if I would ever really find him. 49 years. It was worth the wait.
I think technically the girl of my dreams would probably have like a really bodacious rack, you know, maybe different hair. Probably, you know, she'd probably be a little more into sports. But truthfully, Robin's better than the girl of my dreams. She's real.
I think removing these answers does fit the film a bit better. As I mentioned earlier when we saw Summer's point of view in that one deleted section, that the whole film has been from the men's point of view. I don't think it would really match the style to include the women's answers here. This scene is here to show that the other characters, no matter how flawed, know what they want and what they're looking for, or that they understand what their idea of love is. And then it ends with Tom not saying anything, because he has no idea what he wants, and his idea of love is currently being deconstructed. This then brings us to the infamous expectations versus reality scene at the 67-minute and 50-second mark, which is on pages 87 to 88 in the script. Just a quick note to say that the film and the script are basically the same here. The biggest difference is at the end of the scene, Summer sees Tom leaving instead of him just running away unnoticed. I imagine they changed this as the script version feels a little bit melodramatic. I'll mark it with an orange box when it happens, but outside of that, the film is just a more detailed version of what happens on the page. I'll take it in stages and discuss it as we go on. He arrives first in the expectation side. We can see from the way it's shot that it's more intimate. The shots are closer up and she kisses him pretty much on the mouth, whereas in the reality side, the shot is wider, giving a sense of detachment, and Summer greets him in a very neutral way with a friendly hug. We can also see that no one is in the background of the expectation side, making it feel like they're alone together, compared to the reality side where people are in the background, making it feel a bit messier. There are far less people in the expectation side, reinforcing the intimacy, along with red flowers in the foreground, which also make it feel more romantic. He's greeted by the guests, making him feel more welcome in the space. Whereas in the reality side, we continue with the messiness. The flowers are replaced with balls and glasses, and no one notices his arrival, making him just one of the crowd. Her reaction to the gift is a lot more intimate as well, with the lingering look and close-up shot, which is in contrast to the reality side, where the shot stays wide and she gives him a gentle tap on the shoulder, which makes it feel a lot friendlier. We then go out onto the roof garden. On the expectation side, they're directly in the centre of the frame. Your eye is drawn right to them. There are hardly any people there, again pushing the intimate feeling that Tom is hoping for. My one little critique here would be that there's an odd number of people at the table, so I would have put one extra person there to make it feel like everyone is coupled up, but that's a fairly minor thing. I think it works without it. Whereas on the reality side, it starts with someone walking in front of the camera, and there are so many people there that Summer and Tom are both lost in the frame. When we finally spot them, we realise they couldn't be further apart on opposite sides of the shot, just hammering home that messy vibe. It then continues on and we see them in separate shots where it cuts back and forth between them. They don't appear in the same frame together again in this scene, reinforcing their separation. Also, I mentioned earlier in the script on pages 53 to 54 that there was a party scene that didn't take place in the film, but the dialogue is used elsewhere. Well, this is the scene that is used in, with Summer continuing to support and big up his architecture, only for him to make a self-deprecating joke about it.
So Tom, what is it that you do?
I write greeting cards.
Tom could be a really great architect if he wanted to be.
That's unusual. I mean, what made you go from one to the other?
I guess I just figured, why make something disposable like a building when you can make something that lasts forever, like greeting card.
Which Summer is clearly disappointed by. Tom is still stuck in his ways. The scene then continues in much the same way, Tom being alone and pining in reality when his unrealistic expectations aren't being met. His misogynistic side starts to rear its head again for a moment when he sees her speaking to other men. He clearly doesn't look happy about this. He sees her as his. Then, as they start to get physically intimate on the expectation side, we see in reality that she's engaged. How did this happen? She was his and no one else's. If you listen to the music, I'm the hero of the story, I don't need to be saved. It reflects this idea that he was the one that was supposed to come along and save her. He was the one who would change her mind. He was the one who would get in behind the defences and show her that love was real, not someone else. And then he goes out onto the street and his entire world crumbles around him. This starts his lowest moment. He's finally confronted with his flaw, that maybe his idealistic view of love isn't real. This is also the moment in the story where the protagonist is confronted with the worst outcome of the inciting incident, which is him not ending up with Summer. This also raises the stakes, as if he's not going to be with Summer, then he'll never find happiness. The section from the 70-minute and 50-second mark to the 71st-minute and 45-second mark, which is on page 90 in the script, shows him spiralling even deeper into despair. Now that his entire worldview has been torn down, that his idealistic and romanticised version of reality doesn't exist, he feels like he has nothing to live for. And we see that on full display when he starts having a meltdown in the meeting at the 73-minute and 10-second mark, which is on pages 92 to 93 in the script, when he establishes his new worldview, that everything is meaningless and love doesn't exist.
Happy Valentine's Day, sweetheart. I love you. That's sweet. Ain't love grand? This is exactly what I'm talking about. What does that even mean? Love. Do you know? It's these cards. And the movies and the pop songs, they're to blame for all the lies. And the heartache. Everything. And we're responsible. I'm responsible. I think we do a bad thing here. People should be able to say how they feel. How they really feel, not, some words that some strangers put in their mouths. Words like love. That don't mean anything.
So he hasn't fully learned yet from this experience because he's just gone from one extreme to the other, and it ends with him quitting his job.
I quit. There's enough bullshit in the world without my help.
This moment acts as our second plot point. The second plot point is the event that pushes us towards the third act. This takes us to the scene with his sister at the football match, where she encourages him to look back properly without the rose-tinted glasses.
I know you think that she was the one, but I don't. No, I think you're just remembering the good stuff. Next time we look back, I really think you should look again.
This closes the B-plot with him finally listening to his friends and family. The following sequence of footage from the film, starting off nice and progressively getting worse, shows they were never really compatible in the long run and have been drifting apart for a while. He just didn't want to see it. This realisation acts as our third act break, which happens at the 79-minute mark and page 99 in the script. The montage between minutes 79 and 81:20, which is pages 99 to 100 in the script, show Tom starting to regroup and pick himself back up. He starts to actively pursue a career in architecture, finally putting himself first and going after what he wants. We see him being rejected from countless companies, but that doesn't deter him, showing his growth as a character. This montage culminates with another split screen, showing Summer getting married, mirroring both of their arcs. Him starting as a hopeless romantic who only wants to find someone to love, now focusing on himself, not believing that love exists anymore. And her, starting as a bitter cynic who thinks the concept of love is silly, is now getting married. There can be beauty in separation. Sometimes you're not supposed to be with someone forever. Some people you meet for a season and others you meet for a reason. You need to meet some people to learn something about yourself and then you let them go, instead of feeling entitled to be with them. This brings us to the climax of the film, at the 81-minute and 45-second mark, which is on pages 100 to 101 in the script, when he sees Summer at the bench that he took her to earlier on in the film. Tom confronts her, telling her that she should have told him that she was seeing someone, that the way they were acting with each other basically gave him the wrong idea.
You should have told me. When we were at the, wedding and we were dancing.
Well, he hadn't asked me yet.
But he was in your life.
Yeah.
So Why'd you dance with me?
And when he asks why she acted that way, she says,
Because I wanted to.
I feel like this is such an immature thing to say. There's a descriptive line here in the script that says, Summer genuinely feels bad about this. But we don't really see that in the film. She never really thinks about how her actions might impact other people. She knew how Tom felt, but she still got close to him again at Millie's wedding because she wanted to. She had plenty of time to tell him about the other guy, but didn't. This is another example of her giving him quite a big mixed signal. She then goes on to say something that is both harsh and illuminating. When Tom says that he can't understand how she's now married, she says that she just woke up one day and knew.
You never wanted to be anybody's girlfriend, and now you're somebody's wife.
I just woke up one day and I knew
Knew what?
what I was never sure of with you.
This is a completely unnecessary thing to say to Tom because it is very mean-spirited. You could argue that he had it coming by pressing the matter, but she could have kept it to herself. The reason it's illuminating, and this is something I mentioned earlier in the video, is because it implies that she did potentially think of Tom that way, that it did run through her head about them being together long term, but she ultimately couldn't see it. So all the talk of them just being friends was false. Yet again, sending confusing messages his way. Tom then goes on to explain his new, depressing worldview, and she pushes back by explaining hers.
You know what sucks? Realizing that everything you believe in is complete and utter bullshit sucks.
What do you mean?
You know, destiny and soulmates, true love and all that childhood fairy tale nonsense. You were right, I should have listened to you.
I guess it's because I was sitting in a deli and reading Dorian Gray, and a guy comes up to me and asks me about it, and now he's my husband. It was meant to be. And I just kept thinking, Tom was right.
No.
Yeah, I did.
She ends it by saying,
It just wasn't me that you were right about.
this is a fair statement to make, and it injects a little bit of hope back into Tom's life, that maybe there's a middle ground, somewhere between being a hopeless romantic and a jaded realist. The detail about her reading a book and the man coming up to her and asking her about it is quite interesting, as it reflects the moment near the start of the film, at the karaoke scene, that I said I'd come back to later, when Tom didn't take the opportunity to ask her out, and Summer looks a bit disappointed by this. That maybe, because she's so flaky and all over the place, she needs someone more decisive and in control, which Tom just wasn't at that moment, but has now grown to be, which reinforces the idea that sometimes you just need to meet someone, learn from it, grow, let them go, and move on. This then brings us back to the image that opened the film at the 86-minute and 15-second mark, which is page 104 in the script. We now understand what this means and how they got there. Then, at the 86-minute and 40-second mark, which is on page 105 in the script, Tom says,
Summer, I really do hope that you're happy.
This brings the themes to a close and shows Tom's growth. He's no longer chasing her or trying to convince her or idealising her. He finally lets her go and wishes her well. This moment also brings the A-plot to a close. So now we finally come to the last scene at the 87-minute and 10-second mark, which is also page 105 in the script. It starts slightly differently in the script compared to the film. So they both start with narration, but the narration that's written in the script is bumped to later in the scene, so the narration that's in the film was never written.
Most days of the year are unremarkable. They begin and they end, with no lasting memories made in between. Most days have no impact on the course of a life. May 23rd was a Wednesday.
Tom then starts speaking to another interviewee for the job that he's there for. They hit it off and they realise they have a shared interest in the area with the bench that we just came from in the previous scene.
Do you ever go to Angeles Plaza?
Yes, that's like my favorite spot in the city.
The woman says she recognises Tom, but Tom says he doesn't recognise her.
Yeah, I think I've seen you there.
Really?
Yeah.
I haven't seen you.
But she then replies,
You must not have been looking.
This implies that Tom was so blinkered in his obsession for Summer that he didn't allow himself to look outside of that perspective, because if he had, he might have seen someone right in front of him that was so much better suited for him. This is why it would have been nice to have seen her in the background of the scene earlier when Tom first showed Summer the bench. We then have the voiceover narration that was moved from the start of the scene, which basically states his new realist worldview.
If Tom had learned anything, it was that you can't ascribe great cosmic significance to a simple earthly event. Coincidence. That's all anything ever is. Nothing more than coincidence. Tom had finally learned there are no miracles. There's no such thing as fate. Nothing is meant to be. He knew. He was sure of it now. Tom was...
Sorry, I just left, can I... One second.
He was pretty sure.
He then goes back and asks the woman out at the 89-minute and 35-second mark, which is page 108 in the script. Finally taking control, he's no longer a passive presence in his own life. He's no longer leaving it in fate's hands. He's finally learned that it's good to have a real, grounded approach to life, but it's also okay to leave a bit of room for romanticism. So he's finally found a middle ground. She eventually agrees and tells him her name.
Sure.
What's that?
Why not?
Okay, well then I'll just, I'll wait for you.
We'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out. My name's Tom.
Nice to meet you. I'm Autumn.
Which is a fun little nod to him moving on to the next chapter of his life. But then they make the absolute worst choice in the entire film by having Tom look at the camera. Like, we get the point, you didn't have to do that. Just have him react to it, then it cuts to the number one. It annoys me every single time. I hope that he doesn't look at the camera. Like, this time he might not do it. I get that he's looked at the camera in the film before, so it doesn't break any style or anything like that. It's just too heavy-handed. You could actually argue that because he's broken the fourth wall throughout the film, that him not doing it now would actually show more character growth. Anyway, the film ends at the 90-minute and 30-second mark, which is page 109 in the script. Then, if we transfer everything into pie charts, firstly with the runtime, then with the page numbers, bearing in mind that they are approximates, it's quite difficult dividing it evenly without the page numbers or the times getting really messy, so things are either just rounded up or they're rounded down. And then, if we put them side by side, we can see that even though the script is about 20 pages longer, they still maintain roughly the same pacing. With the Sixth Sense video, I ended up adding the deleted scenes back into the film just to see how many minutes it would add on, and it ended up bringing the runtime and the page count to almost exactly the same. But I just don't think that would happen here, as the deleted sections don't account for much, maybe a few pages at most. So this is an example of one page of script not translating to 1 minute of screen time, which is quite odd because there are quite a few montages in this film that last a good few minutes but only take up maybe a page and a half or so in the script, like the title sequence or the expectation versus reality section, so it's strange that the script ended up being so much longer. In an average screenplay, the first and third acts should take up around 25% of the runtime, with the second act taking up around 50%. So looking here, we can see that things look a bit lopsided, but I think because the film is told out of sequence, that potentially throws things off a bit. It would be quite interesting to put it in chronological order and see where the major moments land. In saying that, it looks lopsided, but it doesn't feel lopsided. When you watch it, it feels balanced and well paced, so I don't think it really matters that the structure is a little bit off. I think my one main bit of criticism would be that the third act is very short, at only about 10 minutes. It's essentially a montage followed by a conversation and then it wraps up, so maybe a little more meat could have been injected there, as it does feel a little bit rushed. I feel this could be the product of a bigger problem with the film. 500 Days of Summer skirts the line between style with substance and style over substance, and this fast wrap-up is an example of the latter. Whereas a good example of the former would be something like the expectation versus reality scene that really effectively shows the headspace that Tom is in and gets the point across in a really creative way, as well as looking cool and being relatable. Not for me, of course, I've just heard other people say that they can really relate and see themselves in it, but not me, not me. Anyway, I'd say a lot of the film falls into what I'd call music video editing, where it all looks really cool and flashy, but it holds little substance. Like, being able to move a number of the scenes around in the runtime with not much consequence to the overall story shows that they're potentially a little bit shallow or one note. The scenes that hit really well, but there are a lot of scenes that you could describe as filler. This isn't a huge criticism, by the way, because I do really enjoy this film. I just feel that a lot of the flashy editing potentially hides some structural problems with the film. Telling a story out of sequence can add to the experience by making it more entertaining, being able to hide and reveal certain aspects of the story in a more interesting way. It also lends to the fact that the story is being told by an unreliable narrator, like someone is choosing what to show us and what to withhold. You could also say that it reflects your memory, as you don't remember your time with someone in a linear way. It's all jumbled round with certain times taking precedent over others, which could colour the way that you see them and your time together. I think jumping back and forth in time helps to decontextualise the relationship, that the filmmakers were able to hide where the film was going, so we're not sure what's happening all the time, intriguing us to keep watching. Also, just off the back of that, I sometimes think that starting your film with a scene from later on in the story before flashing back to the start can be a bit of a cheap tactic, as it shows a lack of confidence in your opening, so you need to use a scene from elsewhere to bait your audience. I always remember that scene from Rick and Morty when I think about this technique.
I'm not a huge fan, personally, of the whole 3 weeks earlier teaser thing. I feel like, we should start our stories where they begin, not start them where they get interested.
But I don't think it's cheap here. I think it is really effective, as it's used as a bit of a red herring, engaging us to keep watching. With things being so hot and cold, we're waiting to see how it works out for them, and how they end up, apparently, married. And just a little disclaimer before we finish. I've tried to find the final draft of whatever screenplay that I'm analysing, but it can be tricky trying to pin down the exact right version. For example, I found 2 versions of this script online, one from 2006, which seemed very different to the finished film, and then this one from 2008, which appears to be an actual shooting script. That's why it has all those numbers down the sides. A shooting script is the version of the script that's used while the film is in production, so it potentially has more technical details than a normal script. There were also a couple pages of omitted content. I imagine these were deleted scenes that were removed well before filming started, but they didn't want to throw the page count or the numbers on the sides off, so they just marked them as omitted. And that's your 500 Days of Summer. If you feel like I have any of the moments wrong, or if there's any differences in the script compared to the finished film that I've missed, then please let me know. Also, if there's any films you'd like to see compared in this way, then leave them in the comments below and I'll add them to the list. I'd really appreciate any support, so giving the video a like and a share and subscribing would go a long way in helping the channel grow. And be sure to come back next time, but don't go through a mysterious door looking for it. I assure you that you'll be able to find the next video in this world, not with your other family. Thanks for watching, and remember, don't idealise people or put them on pedestals. No one's perfect. Put yourself first sometimes, and have a realistic and grounded approach to love, but also leave a little bit of room for romanticism. And I'll see you again in the next one.